for a great missionary and dear friend, Reverend Steve Stetler. He is struggling with COVID, is on a ventilator. Family has not been getting good news the last day or so. He needs urgent prayers. I'm doing this primarily for people that would not know Steve, family and friends, asking you to join us in praying for him. I've known Steve since he was a teenage boy. His father was one of my professors in college, and his family lived on the campus. I was blessed to watch Steve graduate from Bible college and come to minister in the same church connection, the Bible Methodist Connection of Churches in our Southern Conference with his new wife, Beth, and then go on to do other ministry. I have admired Steve and Beth and their love for God and effectiveness in ministry for many years. And as I was praying for them today, just thinking over how blessed I've been to be a part of their lives, a lot of these scenes that I will share in this slideshow came to mind. And I think they'll help you to understand what a great guy Steve is, and just to encourage you to join us in praying for him today. I will never forget the year at IH Convention, after having prayed for an additional missionary family for our ministry in Mexico, and feeling very clearly in my praying that God was talking to me about Steve and Beth. Steve walked by the exhibit I was working at there at the convention, and I just spoke up and kind of impulsively said to him, "Hey, Steve, you ever think about serving as a missionary in Mexico?" I'll never forget the look on his face. He just kind of stopped suddenly. He was a few feet past me, and he turned around and he looked at me like he was going to cry. And he said, "You have no idea what you just did. You just answered a huge prayer that Beth and I have been praying." And they had felt clearly that God was calling them that direction, and yet had just asked the Lord, if it were He that were speaking into their lives, that He would have me ask them. Rest is history. It was just a few months later that they were packed up and moving to the border of Mexico to do language school and put themselves into Mexican missions work with enthusiasm, along with their daughter Maria and son Kent. Steve and Beth joined our missionaries Mark and Melody Sankey, who were already there, and Mark and Steve and I just had too much fun. Some awesome memories, lots of laughs and experiences. Steve had a cool looking Mexican mustache, and Mark and I didn't. So for this picture, we drew mustaches on to try to be as cool as Steve. This was one of our first trips all the way down to the state of Oaxaca, southern Mexico. And one of the first times Steve tried to preach in Spanish without an interpreter, and he was really, really struggling. But he did it so pleasantly and with such passion, and people just loved it. You can see the little village crowd that gathered in this small, open-sided church to worship. We had a great meal, great memory. The look on Steve's face doesn't represent the stress he was under trying to preach in Spanish that night. Steve was always a favorite when it came to our young people and children. Here he is, I believe this is Saltillo, praying over a group of youth, and I believe this might have been a youth convention. Our young people all love Steve. Steve and Beth with Kent celebrating the special celebration for young ladies, I think on their 15th birthday nice Spanish word that I don't say very well. But you can see they fit right in so beautifully. And these are some of my best memories. We're hiking back into a new church plant way back in a little village, and some of our finest and very best of our Mexican leadership. And it was just a great experience. And Steve was always right at the head of the pack. He's definitely a go-getter and a leader. We were invited to stop in at a dear Mexican family's little house and have some refreshment. It was coconut milk, and it is a special treat. Mark doesn't look like he's too enthusiastic about it, but it was good and refreshing. I think Mark and I might have been discussing the qualities of coconut milk. It seems that Brother Dolores has a little bit of a smile on his face. Meanwhile, Steve's he's doing it the way it's supposed to be done. I thank God for these guys. Steve brought so much cheer in so many lives and been a blessing in so many ways. Steve is most famous with the kids with his ability to talk like Donald Duck. The kids absolutely loved it and would beg him to do it every time they saw him, and from what I understand, still do. His compassionate heart for kids just brought kids like a magnet to him. And even in service, I watched the kids watching him as he worshiped and fervently worshiped. Mark and Steve traveled many miles and did many services together. Great brothers. Steve was a great mentor to our young leaders and was there, always there in the special moments, celebrating with them. I thank God for Steve Stetler, and I'm praying today that God would just give him complete healing. So please join me in praying that God would just miraculously heal Steve's lungs and his body and give him complete and full recovery from COVID and enable him to be able to continue to carry on the ministry God's blessed him with. These days, he's ministering to missionaries as a pastor to missionaries, missionary care. Very vital ministry, and I believe God has more years of ministry for Steve and Beth. So thank you for allowing me to just share some of these memories and appeal to you, praying friends, to pray for him today. God bless you.